Wow, it has been quite a little bit since I've made a video on this channel, but you know what, it's good to be back. If you guys don't know, I am Josh, or in this channel, TechTrainerJosh. I do have a main channel, the 4th Gen Gamer, where I make Pokemon videos and Twitch live streams, you know, on Twitch of course, and yeah, I have a lot of experience with open broadcaster software, OBS Studio, and today I'm going to be sharing with you guys, recording-wise, quality-wise, streaming-wise, what the best settings are to get your stream up and running, to get your recordings up and running, whether you're doing YouTube, Twitch, both at the same time, whatever you're trying to do. Hopefully this video will be helpful to you. Now, before we go further in depth with this, I just want to show you guys this amazing link right here, obsproject.com/chat. This is the official community chat for OBS. It is always up 24/7. There's always people in there that are able to help and hopefully get you up and running if you're having problems, if something crashes, something doesn't work, whatever it may be. This could be very useful to you, so you know, if you have an emergency or something, hopefully they get back to you really quickly, because I've been in a bind quite a few times with this program just because of problems that I caused on my own, and then they helped me out and it's all good. So either way, I'll link that down below, and anything else that is shown in today's video I'll also link in the description. So first and foremost, before we get into the settings, it's important to know, what are you trying to stream, what are you trying to record, and what quality do you want to record it at, because then we could base your settings accordingly, because there is no one best setting. There's a bunch of different settings that you could do that may fit your use the best. What game are you streaming, what CPU do you have, and so on and so forth. So a good way to start off by asking this question would be to ask yourself, what resolution are you trying to stream at, and what FPS are you trying to stream at? And like I said, also record, because you can do both and at the same time if you really wanted to with OBS. So I have over here the official YouTube page for recommended upload encoding settings, and you could see all of these numbers here, all the gobbledygook on the screen, and we're going to break this down right now. So the first thing that you're going to be looking at is probably resolution. You want to find out, what are you trying to record at? What are you trying to stream at? Actually, before I go into that, you can see there's two charts here. There's SDR, there's HDR. HDR you really don't want to be worrying about. This is something very specialized. It is a feature that's on very few cameras, very few monitors, and I don't think Twitch even supports HDR because it's just such a unique feature. So just don't worry about this second chart here. You don't have to worry about it. So it's high dynamic range, colors look cool, you know, big whoop, whatever. OBS doesn't even support it, so there you go. At least not yet. So either way, I actually don't even know about that, but either way, not important. We have the standard, I believe that would be dynamic range, and this will be what you're going to be looking at. So the most common recording resolutions you're going to be looking at, you probably know, would be 1080p or 720p. You don't want to be messing with 480 or 360 if you don't have to, especially if you're recording. If you're streaming, makes a little bit more sense, but if you're recording for YouTube, you probably want to be 720 or 1080. If you really want to be ambitious, you can do 1440, you can do 4K, but it really won't be too necessary, and that will also cause massive file sizes and probably make your CPU go a little bit wonky and cause some pretty laggy videos as a result. So probably want to go 720, maybe 1080. Personally, I do 1080 because I know my computer could handle it, but trial and error, you can see what works best for you. Now, there's also the different FPS options, frames per second. That's how smooth the video is. You can see I'm doing 60 FPS here. You're able to tell that pretty clearly. So you don't want to really mess with 24, 25, 48, 50. Those are all film FPS that usually you don't record with for YouTube. So 30 FPS, 60 FPS, that's up to you. Whatever suits your need the best. If you're going to be doing a 60 FPS game, probably want to do 60 FPS. If you're doing something pretty basic that doesn't actually play at 30 FPS, especially if your camera isn't at 60 FPS, don't even waste the time. It's just not worth it. You're going to cause some issues. File sizes that just aren't worth it because you're doing it for no reason. So as far as YouTube goes, you're probably going to want to go in the 720 to 1080 range. If you're on Twitch, this will depend on your speed test, and I actually already ran this, but you guys can check out speedtest.net. If you guys don't know, your upload speed is going to be what's important here, and just keep this number in mind. When you run your speed test, just write it down, open a Google Doc, whatever you got to do, just so you remember, because we're going to need that in a minute to find out the bit rate that you're going to be streaming at. So we have our first two pieces here for your quality. What resolution and what FPS. This is totally up to you. Pretty much the highest quality that I would deem normal. You know, normal file sizes, normal CPU load. If you have a high enough end CPU, it would be 1080p 60 for streaming and recording as well. You go higher, you can go lower, but those are a little bit more special case scenarios. If you do have a low-end laptop, if you have an old laptop, if you have an old desktop, then for streaming you might have to go lower ends. For YouTube, you really don't want to go lower than 720 if you don't have to. So with that, let's go and take a look at the settings themselves. Okay, so we've made it here to the settings page, and you could see different options. Our main options we're going to be concerned with are output. There you go, output and video. So video, this is the starting point that we just talked about, what resolution and what FPS you're going to be at. So you can see there's a few options here for the base canvas resolution. The canvas is literally what it says. A canvas, like if you're painting and you have a blank canvas, that's like the page that you're working on. That's your platform that you're working on. So your canvas resolution is just what's on your screen. That has nothing to do with what you're recording or your stream either. The important number is going to be this number right here, the output scaled resolution. So you can make your canvas whatever you want. Probably 1920 by 1080 is your best option. I have mine as 1440 because that's just what my monitor is, so I just have it as that. But you can do whatever suits your need. 1080p, 1920 by 1080 would probably work just fine. So this next number here, output scaled resolution, that's really important. That is going to be the output. It's literally what it says it is. That is what you're going to be recording or streaming at. So you can't stream at 720 and record at 1080, if that makes sense. You can't do different resolutions. You can do different bit rates, which I'll go into in a minute, but the resolution has to be the same. So if you're streaming 1080 and you want to record at the same time, you have to do the same resolution. So there you go for your output. If you want to record at 1080, do 1080. And if you want to do 720, then type in 1280 by 720. Now you can see I can't change these things because I'm recording right now, so it makes sense. The common FPS values, that's going to be your frames per second. Like I said, you can do 30, you can do 60, whatever suits your need. And I'm doing 60 because my camera's 60, so there you go. And all desktop computers run at 60, so there you go. The downscale filter, you can do Langstos. I don't even know how to say that, but that's the best option. That's your best quality. That's what you're going to want to do. And never change that. There's no reason to. There's other quality options that you could change if something's too much for your computer. So these really aren't the options that are going to drag down the stream. If it gets laggy, if it doesn't work well, these aren't the settings to change. You may want to change 60 down to 30 or maybe 1080 down to 720, but these aren't the things that you're as concerned about. You can change them and they may be leading to some lag issues, but not as much as I'm about to show you. So we're going to be concerned now with the output tab. This is where almost everything is going to be changed. So you can see we're on the advanced option. If you're not on advanced, please go to advanced, because if you're not, then you will be streaming and recording at the same settings. So that means every single time you're going to have to readjust your settings that you want to record at high quality and then stream at a different one. Just trust me, this is the best option. So first and foremost, let's do the streaming option. And obviously there's a lot of stuff going here, so I'll explain everything to you guys and hopefully it'll make sense. Audio track, as long as everything's default, you should have it at 1, no worries. Encoder, this one gets a little more interesting. So X264 is the standard. That means it uses your CPU, not your GPU. Your GPU is your video card. So if you don't know what any of that means, that's okay. X264 is what you're going to want to do. Now, Rescale Output, this is, I take back what I said before. You can record and you can stream at different qualities, resolutions. My bad on that. Either way, you can rescale your output. So if you do want to record and stream at different resolutions, because I'm a dummy, I forgot about that, you can do that. So let's say that you want to stream at 720p. You could do that. There's nothing wrong with that. So you just have to click that and then drop down the menu and do 1280 by 720. But I can't do that because I'm recording right now. So there you go. That's one of the things that you can't change real time. All this other stuff I could change right now. And I could do a little demo for you guys, and that'll be kind of cool. So these are all the other different options. So this is just resolution, that's the encoder, that's what's actually processing the video for you. The rate control for streaming, you always want to do CBR. That means constant bitrate, I believe. So it's not going to be what VBR is. VBR means that it's going all over the place, that it's going all crazy and stuff, and trust me, you don't want it. It'll cause unstable stuff and it'll be wonky. Trust me on that. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. Now the bitrate, this is one of the most important numbers as far as your quality goes. It's pretty simple. The higher the number, the bigger the bitrate. So this is in, I believe, kilobits per second. So pretty much what that means is you could take off a number there, and now all of a sudden, that is the, okay, well, let me explain it better. 6,000 is the same as 6 megabits per second, if that makes sense. So you bring over a number and then you get, that's what is in megabits. Now, why am I saying all this crap about megabits? Why is that important? Who gives a damn? Well, that will come into play when you have your speed test here. So the speed test website here, this is showing your upload speed in megabits per second. So you're gonna wanna know your megabits per second with your internet in comparison to this 6,000 number, like, where do I go with that, you know? So you saw mine was at 37.34. That is the equivalent of 37,000. 37,000. Now you never ever want to stream at that, but just so you guys know, that's the equivalent of that. So if you have 6 megabit per second upload speed, then in theory you should be good for 6,000, but you really don't want to match your upload speed. You want to go a little bit lower just so you're safe. So if you have 6 megabits per second upload, then maybe try out 5,000. You know, whatever works for your internet speed. If you have 1 megabit per second upload, then maybe go like 900, which is not that high, but it's okay, it'll get you by, there's nothing wrong with that. So the absolute cap for Twitch right now, at the day of this upload, is 6,000. That's why I'm at 6,000 for streaming, because that is as high as you can go. If you go any higher, it'll be compressed down to that anyway, so it doesn't really matter. It does not really matter. You don't want to go higher than 6,000 because there's no reason to, right? So 6,000 is the number that you want to do at the very highest. Now, if you get any problems, then you should probably lower it. If your internet speed can't handle it, if your computer can't handle it, then lower it. If you're at 720p 60, then you could probably do like 4,500. If you're at 1080p 30, you could probably do like 5,000. If you're at 720p 30, did I say that? I'm mixing up all my numbers. I'll put a chart on the screen, that'll work for you guys. Then you could probably do 3,500. That was the old ceiling that Twitch had. So either way, you can do custom buffer size, and you can do the same number as your bitrate. I don't know why it works, but it does, so there you go. And this is by far the second most, if not the most important setting in this entire thing. The CPU usage preset. This is the slider that will determine the quality that your CPU is going to be pushing out. The bits are just how many bits are being pushed out. The CPU usage preset is the actual quality of that. How much effort is your CPU putting into this? I guess that's the best way I could put it. So I believe the standard would be very fast. Now, the higher that you go, the lower the quality, but the less straining it is on your CPU. The lower that you go, for like placebo would just be it's so demanding on your CPU that it's just not worth it anymore. Now, most people are going to be in this range over here. No one's probably going to be slower than faster. Sounds weird, right? But that's just the way that is. So I'm on very fast. That's just the way I do it. This is a setting that you're just going to have to mess with your CPU a little bit. So, meaning, if you are recording and you're at, let's say you're at like faster for some reason. Remember, this like ultra fast is the lowest demanding and the lowest quality out of all of these. If you're on faster and you're getting like an error or you're getting a red message in the bottom left hand corner of OBS saying high CPU encoding, you're going to want to raise this to very fast, and if you're still getting that, then you should probably go up to super fast, and if you're still getting that, then start lowering your bit rate or your FPS or something else until you find something that works for you. So we're going to go to very fast. I'm going to keep it at that, and you don't see any changes being made because this is all the streaming tab. This is all just streaming. Keep that in mind. Now recording, now that we did all that, you can keep all this other stuff just the way it is, nothing too crazy. Recording, this is what we're doing right now. So if you're recording for YouTube, if you're recording an offline file, you could do this. You could stream and record at the same time. Just keep in mind that if you're doing both at the same time, it is very demanding on your computer to stream and record. It is a lot. So if you need to tone down your settings, you really might have to do that. If you're trying to stream, if you're trying to record, especially if you're doing like and also a demanding game in the process, like a Grand Theft Auto, or you're emulating on Dolphin, whatever it is, if you're doing all of that at the same time, you will have to lower the settings on your game, and or, most certainly, and or the settings on your stream or recording. So keep that in mind. If you're doing streaming, recording, and gaming, it is going to be very intensive. You need a very high-end computer if you want to do all of those. So once again, you want to do CBR, and you can see I'm recording at a nice 12,000 right now. That's what this is at right now, and we're going to do a little experiment here. I don't know if it'll work, but we'll just try it out, just for the lulz. We're going to try out, we're going to see this at 6,000. So this is half the bit rate, 1080p 60, same as before, half the bit rate. There we go, and I'm going to click apply, and this is now, we should be good. This is, in theory, the quality that Twitch is going to be at, just about. Now, let's say the internet speed is at like a 2 megabits per second. There we go. See how that is. See how much of a difference there is. Now, obviously, you won't see a huge difference because it's not like this is some very vivid game that we're playing and there's a bunch of changes. This is a freaking settings screen with a camera in the bottom corner. It's not going to be a huge difference, but you will see a big difference when you have actual like gameplay and like when the bitrate actually matters a lot more. For this, I could probably record at 6,000 and it wouldn't be too much of a difference, and you guys get to see it. I don't know what it looks like, but you guys do. So for something like this, you won't really see the whole range of the differences, but when you're doing something really demanding, when you're doing something that looks really cool, even just like a Pokemon game like I do, you will see a much bigger difference because you have different colors, you have different motions, you have stuff that's changing, especially for every, 60 FPS. It's going to be changing, but there's a setting screen. So you will see bigger differences with, more dynamic games and that sort of thing. So as far as your bitrate goes, this will be determined by YouTube. So we're going to go ahead and take a look once again at YouTube's website here, their official recommended encoding numbers here, and you can see once again this megabits per second is coming up. So let's say you want to record at 1080p 60, like I am right now, 12 megabits per second. So as you just saw, the kind of effect of that, we are currently recording, there we go. We are currently recording at 12,000, so that 12,000 is equivalent to 12 megabits per second. So pretty much you just take off the zeros, or you add them on. You add on 3 zeros to equate this. Hope that makes sense. So if you want to record at 720p 30, so like a lower end, then it would just be 5,000. That's what you'd be recording at. That is to get YouTube's maximum quality. If you go any higher, then YouTube will just compress it down to that. So what's the point? If you want to upload in 1440p, then you will have 24,000, which is insane. And they will compress that. They will compress it, but you will get the maximum quality of that. So if you really want to do that, then feel free. But keep in mind, this will come with large files, and it will maybe destroy your CPU. Who knows? If you have a computer from like 2005, yeah, it will. If you have something that's brand new, enthusiast PC, who knows? Maybe it'll be awesome. But either way, that is that for the recording. There we go. Have to transition that over. We do have over here the CPU preset once again. You can do different presets for each of these. And, that's up to you. This is all trial and error. It's all trial and error. You find what works best for you, because I don't know what system that you have. If you do have something like I just said from, let's say you have something from 2010, mid-range, whatever it may be, you may not be able to take some of these settings. You may have to lower everything according to your need. Now, once again, ultra fast, if you have an old computer, you may have to do that. That just may be your only option, or else it'll just lag like crazy. Because if you have a bad CPU preset, if you have something that's like all the way on like medium, then it'll just lag like crazy. That'll be the result of it. Try it out. It'll look bad. Like, the quality will be good, but like the FPS will be like lagging crazy because the CPU can't handle it. Now for the rest of this, you leave it alone, and as we look at the top of this, forgot to talk about that. You have the recording format, give it an option, probably MP4 is the best. You could, name the recording path and rescale it. You could do 1080p, you could do 720, whatever you gotta do. And something interesting here is you could do a different encoder. So as you remember, I said X264 is using your CPU. Your computer has a CPU and a GPU, or they're both in one unit. So if you want, you could try out another option on here. You don't have it on here because mine's grayed out because I'm recording right now. But there may be another option such as NVENC. That is using if you have an NVIDIA graphics card. There's also Intel QuickSync Video. I believe that's what it would be called. There's an AMD option if you have an AMD card. Regardless, maybe this is all confusing to you, but if you have another option there and you want to do recording and streaming at the same time, it can't hurt trying to do different encoders, because then you're using different parts of your computer, maybe one to stream, one to encode. The thing is, if you're not doing X264, the quality will be lower. X264 is the superior of any other. If you're using Intel, NVIDIA, AMD, if you're using any of those other encoder options, they're just inferior. They're just inferior. But it may be better for you. So you may want to try, if you're going to stream and record at the same time, then mess around with the encoder. If you want to use a different one on each, you can give it a try. But either way, I think that's about it. I hope that this all made sense to you. We're not going to these other settings. Hotkeys is pretty self-explanatory. Advanced is really not a lot to go into. Stream, obviously, do what you gotta do. Enter your stream key, do the whole shebang. And audio, set your audio. General, do what you gotta do. Nothing too crazy. But those are the settings. I know a lot of it was kind of open-ended, like do what you gotta do, but there is no one answer, because, Joe Schmo may have a brand new $3,000 gaming computer that he just bought and wants to stream and record at the same time, and someone else may have, you know, 1 megabit per second internet and a computer from 2010, and there's nothing wrong with that, but the settings will be different, most certainly. So hopefully you have the knowledge in you now to make the decisions that you gotta make, and I wish you the best of luck on Twitch and YouTube, making all your videos, doing all the fun stuff, and thank you guys for watching. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell for notifications. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.